Hey guys, what is up? I am Devildriven, and these are 9 tips for 9 wins in the Gwent arena. During your draft, grabbing removal cards like Parasite, Owl's Thunder, Boiling Oil can definitely help you get to 9 wins. Having answers for your opponent's engines is always key, especially when you're going second and your opponent is playing that engine. They have to play another card, and it might put them in an awkward position. Don't go too crazy on the specials, but it helps to have them in your deck. When you're going first in arena, you want to try to trade up, meaning you want to play your bad cards, find a pass, and get out of the round. Let your opponent spend his gold cards if he wants to. If you can stay within striking distance and on 7 cards and get out of the round, do it. It's more beneficial for you, especially if your hand's too good. If you got a bunch of gold cards in your hand, you don't want to spend these in round 1 and then later on draw into bronzes. On the opposite side of the coin, or red coin, or going second, you're in the driver's seat. You can pretty much judge how you want to play the game. If you want to remove cards, you can. If you want to try to push and go break on even, you can. It's a little bit easier for you, especially if you have tall removal. If your opponent plays something like an engine and tactical advantages it, and you have, say, a Geralt or a Leo Bonhart, they're in big trouble because they have nothing on the board. So the best part about Arena is you get to find in-game synergies you normally wouldn't find. Synergies including your leader. Here we took Congregate, and we ended up getting a Draug that synergizes with it. You can proc the guys and then turn them into the Revenants. Thrive is a really easy synergy to maintain because it's just a matter of playing bigger units. Here we got Guerrilla Tactics, and there's a Gale option here. You can proc that with the leader, maybe move it a couple times and get the death blow. The next pick was a Longship. This can set up the Gale as well, or the Toad Prince. We got a Endrega Queen here that can, as long as it has armor, it leaves behind a 1. So we ended up getting a Griffin at the end, so that plays for 7. Little mini synergies like this are going to help you get to the 9-win mark. So bleeding is a Gwent term. It means that you won round 1 and you want to try to get more cards out of your opponent to make the round shorter in round 3. If you're the one doing the bleeding, if it looks like your hand, my rule of thumb is if your hand looks really good and you think you can go toe to toe with having last say, just pass. If your hand's full of golds and you're just going to end up trading down on all their other cards, it's not worth it. In this scenario here, our opponent tried to bleed us, and I mean, he started out pretty good. He played a 7 strength card, but the problem is he goes all in. He used his leader ability this round, which Invigorate isn't a very good leader. And you just want to, if you're going to do the bleed, you got to know when to get out. And if you are the one being bled, if you could stay up constantly, they're going to be in big trouble because they're going to go down a card, and going down a card in Arena is huge because you're not going to have that synergy that you normally have with your in-game deck or ladder deck with, say, like Greatswords, where maybe you can go down a card but you're going to end up with 1 billion points. It's very, very unlikely to happen. So if you're going to be doing the bleeding, make sure that you're going to be able to have an out with points. And if you're the one being bled, make sure that you can stay up on points and possibly keep that card. So one of the cards you really want to play around in Arena is Geralt Igni. You can click on your score and it lights up both rows on how much is in each row if you're lazy like me. But you just want to minimize that chance of that card really ruining your day. You don't want to line up a whole bunch of 5s and him just completely nuke that row. Other cards you want to try to play around is Gerald Yurden. If you have cards that are going to be boosted, you know, space them out on different rows so that you don't have everything on one row and everything you just worked so hard to boost. Yurden just doesn't completely crush it. Other cards you want to try to play around is Treason. You could do this by playing your big cards on the end and little cards in the middle. It's just a nice way to like keep everything from being bookended, to where if your opponent does play it, you minimize it. That's all you really want to do, is minimize your chance to getting hit pretty hard with one of these cards. So defenders are massive in Arena, because you get to, if you're able to protect your engines, you're just going to win. Unless they have something like Yurden to where your engines are boosted and they're just going to get knocked back down. The tier list for this: Azar, number 1, Fifon, number 2, Covenant of Steel, number 3, Figus, number 4, Dawnamir of Troy, number 5, and then Cave Troll is the worst defender. If you can get these to stick, it's absolutely massive, especially if you have big engines that are proccing every turn. It forces your opponent to have a Purify or an answer to get rid of that defender, and some defenders, you're going to be dumping a lot of damage into that defender to get through it. So if you have something like a Purify, you're going to want to draft those. I wouldn't go too crazy with them, but if you see one, it's nice to have to possibly bust through a defender. So this is probably the biggest thing with Arena. You want to find cards with deploy effects, cards that do something and give you instant value. You want to space it out if you can, to where you have proactive plays, where cards you could just play and you don't need your opponent to have anything on the board. So you want to have cards that do something when they hit the board. Cards like Wild Boar of the Sea, cards like Hemdall, cards like Svalblood Priest, that they're going to do something, possibly be an engine, but at the very least, they got you the points that they said they were going to give you. So if you paid really close attention as we were doing these drafts and everything, you'll notice that I'm always picking one copy of each. The reason why you do that is if you get a chance to draft a Shoop or a Redea, you take it instantly. The possibility of just getting one of these cards, the swing value it gives you is through the roof. And if there's ways to possibly get Redea into your hand with like Royal Decree or having Mata to pull Shoop for you, there's just so many different synergies that you can possibly get. But if you have the chance to draft these cards and you pick 2 copies of, a Hebe Protector, you're going to be real sad because you could have went ahead and drafted a Redea or a Shoop that could have played for 15 plus points. So always go Singleton. It's the way to go in Arena. You'll thank me for it later. So we've given you all the tips, we've given you all the tricks that I use to get to 9 wins. I'm going to give you everybody's favorite thing, lists. I'm going to give you the tier list for Trynet 123. He has a video on his YouTube channel. The link will be in the description on the tier list for the leaders. It's completely up to date with the new leaders that have been added just recently with the Season of the Were-Rat. Trynet's an amazing player. He plays Arena a lot, and you can learn a lot from him, so definitely check out his channel. The other list I'm going to give you is Gravekepper. He has a Arena tier list. I'll have the link to his Twitter, his Twitch, and the arena tier list itself. In my opinion, Gravekepper is the best arena player in Gwent, so you can learn a lot from him. He streams other games as well, but the tier list should help you out if you're on the fence with picking one card or the other. If you're on the fence, I hope this helps you guys out. I hope you guys give Arena a chance. It's a really fun mode where you can come up with some really crazy synergies, and you know, if you get good at it and you're low on resources, you could definitely get some really cool cards, some really, you know, good rewards for just basically going 9 wins with it. Like always, guys, just thank you so much for everything you guys, you know, watching the videos and, you know, all the comments and nice things that people have to say. I just love this game. I want it to do well, and Arena is supposed to get changed here shortly, or get a rework, but we'll have to see what that rework entails. Like always, thank you guys so much for everything, and I'll see you next time.